Welcome everyone. This is Pinnacle Professional College. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. This is a channel where we share tips and we teach you how to pass your exam. Right. So today we are going to be talking about corporate governance and strategic case study. Corporate governance. This is a topic that seems to be fuddled a lot, but I'll break it down to today so you can get exactly what it means and how to approach it. And when we talk about corporate governance is basically the system by which companies are directed and controlled. Now, corporate governance, two words here. You have corporate governance. Right? Corporate means business, company, organization. Governance means administration, direction. If someone talks about how something is governed, you are looking at how something is directed, administered, or controlled. So corporate governance is the system by which companies are directed and controlled. The system by which companies are directed and controlled. Corporate governance is not about management activities and management skills and techniques. The power of executive management to the business is an aspect of governance, but how they use those powers to direct business activities is not, right? Governance is not just about management activities or management techniques, no. And also corporate governance is not also about formulating business strategies for the company. However, the responsibility of the board of directors and other senior managers for deciding strategy is an aspect of governance. Corporate governance is not just about management activities. Management activities is only an aspect of it. Corporate governance is not just about formulating business strategies, right? Formulating strategies is an aspect of governance. So what are some of the matters when it comes to corporate governance? When it comes to corporate governance? Corporate governance matters. Corporate governance is concerned with matters such as in whose interest is a company governed? Who have the power to make decisions for a company? Who? For what aims or purposes are those powers used? For what aims or purposes are those powers used? In what manner are those powers used? Who else might influence the governance of the company? How are risk managed? Are the governance of the company held accountable? So these are matters related to corporate governance. Now let's do them one by one. Interest is a company governed. Think about it very carefully. Whose interest is a company governed? Is it only in the interest of management? No. The company is governed in the interest of its shareholders, as well as external stakeholders as well, but primarily the shareholders, because they have a stake in the company to make decisions for the company. The reason we need to know who has the power to make decisions for the company is to assess how the power is being used and whether there's any accountability. So the next question is, for what aims or purposes are those powers used? What are those powers serving? In what manner? How is the power being channeled or used? And what else is influencing the governance of the company? So these are all matters related to corporate governance. Now, we can't talk about corporate governance without talking about risk management, power, and the interests of governance. These are key tools or key essentials when it comes to corporate governance matters. I've heard about this a lot. The separation from ownership and control. The separation from ownership and control. So ownership, let's look at ownership versus control. Control over a company's strategies and activities is in the hand of its directors, senior management. In small companies, the owners of the company are also the managers. Right? So when we talk about ownership, we are looking at the shareholder side. When we talk about control, we are looking at management. Right? Now, the shareholders that own the company, they hand over administration and control to management. In small companies, sometimes you see that the owners are the managers, so they'll have both ownership and control. In large companies, however, the shareholders are not involved in the control of the business. The control is rather given to professional managers and directors who are expected to provide leadership for the company in the interest of its shareholders. Problems arise with corporate governance because of the separation of ownership from control of the company. Right? Because ownership is separated from control. You have issues will certainly arise. Right? Just think about it, because if I own a company and I do not manage it, and I've given it to someone else to manage it, does the person have my interest at heart? So this is where the issues come. Now you have to think of every company is a legal person in the eyes of the law. It's a legal personality. And in law, a company exists independently of its shareholders who own it. So there's sort of a veil between the shareholders and the company. The shareholders and the company are two different personalities. In the eyes of the law, the company is a separate legal personality. And this is why a company can sue, be sued, because a company is a separate legal entity. The constitution of a company company usually delegates the powers to manage a company to its board of directors. The board of directors in turn delegates many of these management powers and responsibilities to executive management. We talked about this. So there's a fiduciary relationship between owners and managers, right? The owners are the principal, and the directors or the managers are the agents. Agents typically should act in the interests of their principal, but it doesn't happen all the time, right? The directors act as agents for the company. Their responsibilities are to the company, not the company's shareholders. So directors are serving the company, right? Serving the company. Now, it's important to understand this distinction between ownership and control. Very important to understand this distinction. Shareholders own the company, and managers and directors control, administer, or run the executive day-to-day affairs of the company. The company is a separate legal entity. Very important concept. Because of the separation of ownership and control, issues arise. Issues or problems may arise. So what are some of the problems that may arise? Now, I said the owner is the principal and the director is the agent. It is widely accepted that companies should be governed in the interest of their owners, the shareholders. However, the interest of other groups, such as the company's employees, might also have a strong influence on the directors, and this creates problems. So one of the typical problems we see when ownership and control is separated is that it creates problems because the directors of a company might be running the company in a way that is not in the best interest of shareholders. And the shareholders might not be able to prevent the directors from doing this because the directors have most of the powers to control what the company does. So the main problem here is that the directors or the management will not act in the best interest of the shareholders. Will not act in the best interest of the shareholders. And that's a huge problem. And that's where the problem lies. Right? That's where the problem lies. So it's important to understand the distinction. Now let's look at financial reports and corporate governance. Now, the financial report is basically a company's annual reports, and they are the main method by which a board communicates with shareholders about the performance of the company. The shareholders will rely on the honesty and reliability of financial statements to judge the performance of their investments. Very key. Very, very important. Now, corporate history has shown that important concerns about corporate governance are at the risk of misleading financial reporting by executive management. So that's a concern about corporate governance, where executive management misleads shareholders by producing misleading financial reports. Another issue is how effective statutory external audit is. How effective is it? Is it able to identify misstatements in the financial statements? And 3, the independence of the company's auditors. Now, independence is key when it comes to audit because an auditor will produce a bias report, right? And if a bias report is produced, then shareholders cannot assess the performance of their investments correctly. And so this led to the recognition of the need for an audit committee, right? It's because the audit committee, basically it's a committee that liaises between the board and the auditors and helps to manage the entire, helps to manage internally the audit affairs of the company, right? Ensuring that the controls, ensuring that the financial statements are prepared to the proper standards, It's very important. Very, very important here. Very important. So, talk about corporate governance, and I'm sure you've picked some tips here. Understand that when we say corporate governance, we are referring to the governance of the business, the governance of the company, how it is done. And you need to understand what are some of the corporate governance matters. You can't talk about corporate governance matters without talking about who holds the powers in the company, how those powers are being used, are they accountable for those powers, how the power is being managed, how risks are being managed. Now, one key issue in corporate governance is ownership and control. We said that ownership lies in the hands of shareholders, control lies in the hands of management. Now, when this happens, it could create some problems because managers might not be acting in the best interest of shareholders, and this might cause some tension, right? It's very, very important. So this is a brief discussion on corporate governance. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below, and I'll definitely answer it. If you haven't shared this video, share this video and tell people about Pinnacle Professional College. Thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.